Good afternoon. So, Fabio Donetti from Winston Capital, you know me, and again at Smoke Shop in downtown Miami, the best cigar shop in all of Miami. But today we're going to switch gears to something very different. So, you like hi-fi, you like your audio, you probably have some Bose and maybe some old equipments, or maybe you even have Sonos, the new thing that is really good. It's all, Wi-Fi, no wires. And you're doing some streaming, but maybe you say, well, I'm thinking of doing something bigger and better. I want to improve my quality. Is the streaming quality up to par with old CDs? Are new equipments that I should be thinking about? So I have my friend Ron Kinnear from Thirsty Ear Hi-Fi here in Miami, and we're going to talk about with Ron about audio and what's there on the high end, from just a jam to all the way equipments in which you can spend easily $500,000 if you believe so. So Ron, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you, Mr. Onetti, for having me. What a pleasure.
Thank you very much. And so tell me, if you want to do the first jump out of the regular off-the-shelf audio, where would you go for, what brands, and what they bring to start the difference?
Yes, and as you mentioned, I think a lot of homes are happy with Sonos and Blue Sound, those types of things out there. But what we made a conscious decision to do as a company many years ago is to watch the trending of the emerging wireless hi-fi, and really jump on that bandwagon. Particularly, a company stood out over 5 years ago from Denmark by the name of Dyne Audio. Dyne Audio came to the market.
D-Y-N-O?
D-Y-N-A-U-D-I-O.
Okay.
Dyne Audio.
Okay.
And they came with a family of products called Xeo, X-E-O. And already over 5 years ago, we're pioneering the first wireless high-fidelity speaker systems, which are completely self-powered, active, and wireless.
So, in a way, these are speakers that you just plugged in, to the outlet.
To the wall for power.
To the wall, and then they're self-powered. So they have their own amplifier, they all hold drivers and subwoofers and everything that you need. And they come in pairs, I assume.
They come in pairs.
And what technology are you using? Bluetooth or Wi-Fi?
They're using both, using Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, both. They have connectivity for those that do want to hook up a more exquisite streaming server if they would like to the system. But most people are enjoying it with their mobile device, such as their iPhone.
Okay, and they can play the regular apps, whether it's Pandora, Apple Music,
Absolutely.
Spotify,
Absolutely.
Amazon Music, whatever.
Absolutely.
Just goes pipes in. So tell me about, in terms of the regular, and let's go to Dyne Audio, what's their, do they have higher fidelity, bigger streaming bandwidth? How do you define that jump, technically speaking?
Yes, really, Dyne Audio emerged as the player, the critical player in the marketplace for pioneering that Wi-Fi, hi-fi fidelity. What we really believe is happening is 2496 is high-res right now wirelessly from your mobile device, which is really unbelievable already.
It's 2446.
2496. 24-bit 96 kilohertz.
Okay.
Is your wireless presently. They're banging around 24192, which is the next level in the wireless domain, but they have not yet quite done that. You can connect easily to these products with a single digital cable and connect to your streaming device and be 24192 right now.
Is that resolution now higher than your old school CDs?
It's right there at CD quality right now.
Okay.
It really, really is. Particularly within certain apps. For instance, Tidal Hi-Fi. We don't make any money on Tidal Hi-Fi. We recommend it because it is the highest fidelity streaming service that we have heard yet. Their algorithm basically decompresses and makes music sound so much warmer, so much punchier, so much more musical than any other app I've heard out there as far as a mobile device goes.
Tidal is Tidal, and it's in a streaming application like Spotify or Pandora,
but
it's geared to the hi-fi audiophile, higher definition and big on selection for people, on recordings and of all kinds, for people that really enjoy it?
Virtually any album you can search for will come up on the Tidal Hi-Fi app, as well as Spotify, as well as Apple Music. All of these services are very, very good. We just believe sonically to the ear, Tidal Hi-Fi is currently the best.
So okay, so now we get Dyna Audio. We're talking a few $1,000s to begin, or $1,000 all the way to what's the top of the line?
Well, in the wireless world, actually they're very affordable. Their top model, the 60XD, which is a pair of towers, is somewhere around the $15,000 range. What that system achieves today, we used to really have to talk to clients about spending $25,000, $30,000 in a system investment level to achieve what it does at that price point now. So the value added nature of what the system integration of a Dyna Audio Zeo product or a Focus product is really, really amazing what they're bringing to the table.
All right, so let's say you follow, Winston Capital advice and you bought some Netflix, you've done very well, so you feel like you're going to splurge a little bit, or you're going to go a step beyond that. I mean, let's go, you want to say, well, I want to get something heavier or, more powerful. Where would you go? What would be that next step, Ron?
Yes, well, Fabian, we've always been known, Thirsty Ear Hi-Fi has always been known as a big a la carte, high fidelity system builder. We construct magnificent systems where the products are mostly designed, engineered, and manufactured in the United States from brands such as Boulder Amplifiers in Colorado and YG Acoustics, their loudspeaker systems in Colorado, and Exotic Cables and things like that. So we've never given up on that client that really wants to build something very special and very high end. But what we really have seen happening is even with our, if you would say, pioneer founding members of Thirsty Ear Hi-Fi from a clientele standpoint, people's attitudes and patient level is changing with ease of use and a lack of clutter. And really what people want to see is less clutter around the home in the listening environment, and yet more performance. So that's why we've seen a trend towards the better manufacturers keying into that and producing active self-powered products, such as Meridian from Great Britain. Meridian is one of the finest audio companies in the world, and with their new MQA technology, which is embedded in their systems, it's one of the very, very finest examples of active digital technology.
Meridian also, we were talking, is the one that powers Range Rovers and Jaguars in the car industry, and is probably one of the top, or the top now, audio system for cars.
Absolutely, absolutely, and they really, really forged it ahead. They want the brand of Meridian client, no matter where they are, at home or in their automobile.
Perfect. Period. Now, when we're talking a Meridian system, we're talking self-powered towers.
Yes.
And how much are we talking now, Meridian?
You're talking with their tower freestanding in a home environment from $20,000 to $45,000 to $80,000 a pair for their flagship self-powered loudspeakers.
And obviously, all the systems can have multi-room configuration, right? So you can put it there. Absolutely. And you can play same music in all the rooms, different music in different rooms.
That's correct.
And all the different combinations.
Absolutely.
Pair of towers doing stereo, one tower doing just
That's correct.
the thing. Now, if we want to jump even farther ahead, right? Let's say you not only did Netflix but bought Facebook. When we said you should buy Netflix, and you feel it real powerful, you go to something like Boulder, and you say this is like now separate amplifiers and cables, right?
Yes.
With the
Yes.
speaker towers and the separate streamer, or a rack server in which
That's correct.
just not to have streaming necessarily, you can download a few terabytes of music.
That's correct. It's all about having a very good server. It's all about having a very good digital to analog converter, a good DAC in the system, which Boulder happens to build one of the very finest in the world. A very good preamplifier, which is the major handshake between the system and the amplifier, which powers the loudspeaker. That preamplification connection between itself and the amplifier is very, very important to having that control and authority over the music.
And when we're talking Boulder, where do we start in price?
Boulder's products really start in the $20,000+ range per component and go up to $250,000 for a pair of monoblock amplifiers. So we're really talking about a very defined clientele out there worldwide that really wants to view their music system not only as a playback system, but as a performance art statement, if you will, in the home.
So when you put the first, Boulder set, you said a preamp, an amp, streamer, pair of speakers that you, as you mentioned, we're talking what, $250,000-$300,000 to start?
You can build a system from the several $100,000 range on this level up to over $1 million, easily.
And as we were talking earlier, most of this is not for industrial use. This is not for recording studios quality. They cannot take the wear and tear that a music recording will do. These are ultra high fidelity, and as you say, mainly is for homes. That's correct?
Correct. The emphasis is residential and really exquisitely built and beautifully crafted. You wouldn't want to bang it around in the back of a truck and do that kind of thing. However, the performance is what I like to call home concert performance. It's really not just stereo playback anymore. A system of this level of performance really recreates in every fundamental way the illusion that you really are at the live concert event in every way, shape, and form.
So in that category, and your company specializes in this a la carte menu, tailor-made, build-to-suit type things. Do people build them more for like the media room with the projector component, the media room, or your experience is this is more like pure audiophiles?
Really both. There was a day years ago where the more reclusive home cinema environment was really the thing, but now we're seeing people want to make their audio system more social again and not such a closed off part of the home. Put it in the great room where people gather, close to the kitchen, where activity is taking place, and really show it off more and be social with the system. We're seeing that more and more right now.
Okay. What happened with, if you have, a good old Macintosh amplifier, valve power, an old classic,
yes,
or
stuff.
maybe an old Marantz, some of the stuff that's, still there, still around. How would you adapt any of these old, sturdy, good equipment to today's new technologies? How would you do it?
Well, certainly people have a romantic connection with a lot of old amplifiers, and a lot of the old vacuum tube amplifiers have that charming golden sound to them. However, having said that, I think that power is the name of the game today. With some of the more exquisite loudspeaker designs that are out there, they demand and command a more powerful amplifier than a lot of the old vacuum tube amplifiers. And we really need an amplifier that can swing from subtle butterfly delicacy to crashing, thundering crescendos and never have to apologize for the program material at hand or the volume level that's chosen by the client. In my opinion, when you're asking a client to invest, and I do mean invest, in a legacy system like we design, you really don't ever want to have to apologize for the system's capabilities. The system has to be able to, without any question or hesitation, play any program material that's out there in the known universe at whatever concert level, live level that program material might be. And quite honestly, there's a lot of systems out there that can't do that. And we specialize in making sure we deliver systems that do that.
So let's talk some figures. So how many watts are we talking on a new system that you're talking about, let's say, versus an old Macintosh?
Well, in the old days, a system of 75 watts to 100 watts per channel was a big deal back in the old days. Now we're talking, 500, 1,000 watts per channel into 8 ohms. Amplifiers that as the impedance of the loudspeaker drops, the amplifier doubles its output to control that loudspeaker and all those drivers that are part of the construct. So as a loudspeaker's impedance starts to drop under load, we expect the amplifier to double its power output, all the way down to 2 and 1 ohms. So as a classic example, the Boulder amplifiers swing thousands of watts per channel into the loudspeaker system in a split second to command and control the music performance.
You were talking about drivers, loudspeaker, subwoofer. A typical tower today, how many individual components
You know,
do
you
have?
see towers from 3 drivers per tower to 7, 8 drivers per tower, and it's all a matter of the loudspeaker designer's philosophy, what they're trying to achieve at that particular price point in that category. So the number of drivers is less important as the quality of those drivers and the architecture of the loudspeaker acoustically, and the real magic happens in the crossover technology inside the loudspeaker. In other words, the filter that time aligns all of those frequencies and signals to all of those separate drivers at precisely the right moment.
And also, these things are not light. I mean, I think that part of the construction now comes with a very heavy weight, a very sturdy construction. What are we talking about here, Ron?
We're talking, for instance, the big monoblock amplifiers can be 400 pounds per channel. The speakers can be 1,000 pounds or more a pair, on crates, on a truck, on a lift gate, where our installation team very carefully gets them into our clients' homes, being very careful and aware of the surroundings and making sure we glide them in carefully with no issues to the flooring or to anything, that they safely make it into the resting place in a client's home. But hundreds of pounds, if you looked at the total weight of a system, when it's finally built, it can be thousands of pounds in a room.
And people now are preferring the towers or the speakers embedded or in the walls or in the construction or in a standalone. What's now the preference?
Certainly, the mainstream mindset is architectural audio. Where you go into most homes, you'll see distributed audio in wall, in ceiling throughout the home. That's what we call architectural audio. That has a place, that's important, and that's fine. But I've always had an analogy about freestanding high-end audio. Why is it so important that it has its place and its space in the living environment? Well, my analogy is, will we take a Bosendorfer piano or a Steinway Grand and shove the entire piano into the sheetrock, into the wall, and only leave the keyboards exposed? How good would that piano sound?
Pretty
It would
bad.
sound horrible.
Yeah.
So we have to understand that making the commitment to a high-end audio experience in the home is going to require from some square footage, is going to require some space in a room. Thankfully, it happens to be beautiful sculpture, happens to be beautiful performance art, and most of our clients love having it in the room and love to show it off.
What material is used for the speakers now? Epoxy, wood, concrete?
Largely aerospace aluminum.
Okay.
Largely aerospace aluminum and the very, very finest loudspeakers. Some speakers use some composites, some dark, secret composite material, but also some aluminum as well.
And as you mentioned, many of these companies now, like Boulder and the audio that you mentioned, basically manufacture everything in-house, from the screws themselves all the way to the most complex transistors and capacitors, anything that goes inside the equipment.
I keep going back to Boulder. Jeff Nelson, the CEO, founder of Boulder Amplifiers in Colorado. It's probably the greatest example of vertical integration all under one roof. This man is designing and engineering the finest electronics on earth, right down to, as you said, even the little screws that hold the things together are all machined and created in-house. The circuit boards, the faceplates, the tops, the sides, the bottoms, everything is machined in-house by one team in Colorado. It's really a magnificent story to tell when you're asking a client to invest those kinds of dollars. You want something with some, with some real juice, something that really has value and will stand the test of time as a quality component for decades, literally to come. The product will serve the customer very, very well.
Vinyl is making some form of a comeback, and so turntables. And they're like, what's the client's preference, and what's your technical recommendation in the ways of whether we use vinyl, CDs, or a very high-end streaming device?
Well, vinyl has a sound all of its own, and we understand that clients find that charming on some level. It's finicky, it's fussy. You have to play with it. You have to be very careful. You don't just open it up to a big party and let anyone approach a turntable. You're talking about cartridges that are tens of thousands of dollars just for the little cartridge. We're not even talking about the arm or the turntable apparatus yet. You have to be very, very aware of your surroundings and who's in the room. You've got to be careful. Vinyl is very finicky in that way. A lot of our clients still are spinning the silver discs because they have a large library from over the last several decades of listening to CDs or SACDs, and they still want a machine that will spin that. Of course, we offer that. They have capability to spin the silver discs as well. But we're really seeing now more and more the streaming from the better streaming services, high resolution streaming to the system with the best DACs, digital to analog converters, available to really, really extrapolate the information that's there.
Okay, I think that was, Ron, thank you. I think that was a very highlighting idea. Again, if you think that you want to upgrade for your regular Bose or Sonos and go, all the way from a few $1,000s to a lot of hundreds of thousands of dollars, depends how you feel. Ron is an expert. As he said, he does tailor-made a la carte. A lot of his commissions are with new homes, right? People that are building a new home.
Correct.
I said before we put the walls, be sure that we wire it. We know we're going to put it. Basically, by the time the house is done, we get the equipment incorporated.
And it's become so specialized. There are not a bunch of us across the country that do this. So, of course, I and my team must travel wherever our client takes us. It's no longer being confined to a small little territory. It's so specialized that you really need specialists that are going to come into your home and deliver the kind of performance you expect and give you the kind of result that you demand and are looking for. So we go anywhere that we are needed and simply make it happen.
So, because I'm sure not only you need to do all this very finicky and delicate installation, but then calibration of the sound, and according to the room, what's inside that room, what's furniture, materials, and all that.
System optimization is the final frontier. You can have a la carte stack of the finest equipment in the universe, and it can still sound mediocre if the application and the execution of the installation is not done correctly. So you want to make sure, like us as an example at Thirsty Ear Hi-Fi, you select a specialist that really is mindful of making sure we deliver that performance that you've invested so carefully in.
Thank you, Ron.
Thank you, Fabian.
Thank you very much. Again, a special edition of Winston Capital, exploring different things that you might have an interest.
And reach out to us at thirstyearhifi.com. We're always there for you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks, Fabian.